So, hey everybody, I'm going to process some deer for you today. As you notice, the winter has progressed here in Arkansas. As the progression goes for me, it goes to the Carhartt shirt jack and the Carhartt hat with ears. So, what we've got here today, we've got an LEM tub. I've got my Alaska knife with a sheath that I made myself with just hand tools, so don't ever think you can't do something. I've got a cutting board the Arkansas Game and Fish sent me. Pretty good small cutting board. I have a Igloo Yukon 50 cooler. I have a slate countertop here that I work on here in my shop. And I've got my cooler on a rolling stand and I'm on a swivel stool, and this is where I do most of my processing. I can process a deer, full deer, and that includes tenderizing the steaks, slicing the steaks, slicing the stir fry, and grinding the rest into burger and any roast that I do. I can do one in about an hour. So I've got 3 sitting here in the cooler. I'll probably not do all that tonight. I'm thinking I'm just going to do the majority of the trimming tonight. I do a lot of trimming. I do not like to put any deer tallow or any silver skin into my meat. It really makes it an off taste, and then people don't want to eat it. So I'm not good at a lot of things, but I feel like I'm pretty good at this. I've been told I'm good at this, so follow along. I've got 2 cuts of meat that I've never done before, and that is these. So that's the heart. Never, ever messed with a deer heart or any heart of any other kind, but I'm going to try, and I've heard there's not a lot of trimming really we got to do other than cutting some of these valves out. So we'll just try to cut some of these valves out. And I've got a 30-gallon trash can over here. That's where I'll be throwing all my scraps. And you'll see me throw away a lot of scraps because the people I like to cook for do not want any off taste. And we eat this, multiple times a week. We eat deer meat all the time, so we do not want our tacos to taste off or anything like that. And I have to go back and trim this later once I get ready to cook it. And I'm not sure on the recipe yet for it, but I'll share that with you. So I've got it trimmed up somewhat. We got this pan going right here. I'm going to set this up. I usually have 2. I have one for steaks or roast or whole cuts that I'm gonna do, and then another one for the trimmings, which I'll turn into burger, which then will become snack sticks and ground deer meat or sausage or kielbasa or jerky, just a lot of different things. I usually try to save about 25 pounds of ground every year, and that's what I make jerky with my students, and they love it. Yeah, tongue. So never had deer tongue. I've heard it's good. I've heard all tongue's good. My dad used to eat deer tongue back when he used to eat beef tongue back when he was a kid. So I'm gonna try these. So I've heard that you boil them. I'll probably share a video with that. You boil them, pull the taste buds off, and then slice it up. And I plan on making tacos with this, which is very common in Hispanic dishes. Tacos de Laguina. Not sure. I had 2 years of Spanish. Don't hold me to that. Okay. So I'll share a video with that. That one's trimmed up. I might trim it later. There it goes. Sam loves guns. He loves guns. He knows that something good comes out of them. Okay. So this is my Savage. As you can see, Savage is a little worn there. Savage 220 slow gun. I bought this probably 4 years ago. There's some wear and tear on it. I wore the bluing off. Okay. It has a Nikon Pro Staff scope. I've had that for a long time. I buy extra clips for these. You notice that doesn't look like a normal Savage 220 slugger. That has a Boyd's rifle stock on it and nutmeg. I had that glass bedded. I had a trigger job done to it. I've got the trigger probably set 2.5, 3 pounds. It bolts really well. I've got it all fitted up. I have a friend that's really good with firearms. I shoot Remington 3-inch AccuTip slugs. They work really well, even though they've just been discontinued. But luckily, I have several stockpiled. So that's what I use. That's what I really like. I wish we could use rifles here, but we're stuck with the slug guns, and I've made this about as close to a rifle as you can get. So yeah, and so I use a Primos trigger stick, shotgun rifle muzzleloader, and I use my Redhead turkey seat. They come in different brands. I really like this. As you notice, your rear end is really close to the ground. super comfortable. I can sit there all day long. It's light. I carry it really easily. So I put my trigger stick in there, fold it up, throw it on my back, put my gun on the other shoulder, and rock and roll with it. And now back to that. So this is pretty much the back leg off a deer. And what I'll do, sometimes I got to stand up. Okay, and I'll just take it and I'll just start peeling. And it's almost like a skinning process again. And I'll just start trimming that off. And usually I don't like it set up like this. I had to get reset. This is the first one I've done this year, so bear with me there. So I'll start separating off the larger pieces. So I'll just go in and I'll just fillet that, just like so. I'll try to take off all that I can, and I will be cutting a little extra off. Some may frown upon that. But I tell you, I've helped a lot of people cut up deer. I've served deer to a lot of people, and this is how they like it. Okay? Most people that I know don't want a real gamey piece. I'm gonna save that as whole. It's just gonna go right there. That will actually make a really good steak. Okay, that one's good to go. Now this is what we would call a sirloin tip. It's got a lot of different muscle groups in there, okay, and they're all separated by sinew. If you just threw that into the grinder, what would happen is you get a lot of that white, and it wouldn't be very good. So we want to try to roll that out. So we're skinning off that fat. You can just roll it as you go. And you can actually can deer meat too. I don't. My wife's grandma does, her mammy. She cans a lot of deer meat. And believe it or not, you might think canned meat is awful. It sure does look like a science experiment. But it's actually really good. It tastes a lot like roast. And you can kind of change the taste to what you want it to be. But it makes really good barbecue and really good stew meat and roast. You can just dump the can in there and it's ready to rock. But I'm gonna call that acceptable. Now this piece right here is always gonna look rough. That's the outside skin piece. You can usually get a sliver out of there. I can get some slivers out of here, but it's usually pretty tough to get that out. And sometimes a dull knife will work really good for this. Sometimes a really sharp knife. It just depends. Sometimes a dull knife, you can do more pulling and scraping than you can slicing. But I really like a sharp knife. I use a Pro Edge sharpener. I just sharpened this one. I was using razor blade knives, but the razor blade knives, I'll sit down for a second. I was having a hard time keeping up with the blades. It was making it really difficult to keep finding the blades that I needed. I was using a Havilland Barracuda, and I couldn't find the blades, and they weren't as long as this one. If you notice, this one's about 5.5 inches long. That's the width that I like. And see how fat it is? That fatness allows me to lay it down and fillet. And I fillet fish with this, and I fillet back straps with this, and hopefully I'll show you that in just a minute. A real skinny blade, you can't control it, or maybe you can over control it. That might be the thing. You can over control a skinny blade, and you'll end up slicing the skin that you're trying to fillet off. And I usually always do this by myself, and it's like 9 o'clock at night. This is my typical time when I really can't do anything else. Let's talk about a lymph node. Lymph node right there. No good, no bueno. Do not want to eat that. That'll really make it an off taste. Now I can tell this right here was the ham off the smaller doe that I shot. So there's just, the muscle groups are just so much smaller. And it's a lot wider, very wide. Now I've let this soak for 4 days, changing the water each day and adding ice. And I like that because it takes a lot of the blood out of the meat, and it's not as gamey. Yes, you may not like that, but we don't like gamey meat. And we call that the eye of the round. And that's gonna be a whole piece. Very good piece. You can take it and you can slice it. Right here's the grain runs this way. You can take it and slice it across the grain like that, and right there you have a steak if you don't have a slicer. Perfect deer steak. I buy my gloves from Harbor Freight. I don't know if I said that or not. And it also keeps your hands warmer because your hands aren't wet. And I can tell you, after doing 4 or 5 of these in one day, your hands are gonna be very tired. Let's do a baby back strap. So as you can tell, that deer was very small. Hey, this be more tender. These deer are gonna be super tender because they haven't went through the rut yet. They've been on soybeans, they've been on corn. They haven't really got into the acorns yet. The acorns will make them taste different, just different. Corn fed is always better. So I'll take this, as you can see here, and I start in the middle of the back strap, and I lay my knife down, and I can just pull with a sharp knife, and then right there is the silver skin off that back strap. You look at it, perfect, boom, there you go. So you can see this, as you can see, this goes pretty quick. Do the same thing, hold on to that back skin, you can just pull, tear that off, and there you go. So that'll be the best tasting piece of meat. You can do that almost anything with a back strap. Works really good to grill it. So if you would, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. It really helps me out. I'm working to that 1,000 mark. It seems like a long ways right now, but I've heard it gets there pretty quick. So please like, subscribe, share to your friends. Say, hey, Ben Gander's doing this over here on YouTube. He's trying to make a difference. He's trying to educate. He's trying to show you what things happen on his farm. So please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps me out. It doesn't cost you anything. And I'll keep bringing this stuff to you. As we process more deer, I'll show you more steps. When we get to the vacuum sealing, the sausage making, we'll get to that. When we get to skinning possums and eating possums and waffles, I'll share that with you too. May eat a beaver, may eat some nutri-rat. Who knows? I'm up for anything, okay? So, keep making every toe push. Where'd it go, Sam? I don't know. Oh, it's right there. So that's all the pure red meat. There are some pieces. That's your true tenderloin right there. There's your heart. There'll be some pieces with a little bit of extra on them, like that. I'll put that into the grind. That will not go into your jerky. Nope. I believe that's enough for the day. I think it's time for some coffee. My kind of coffee.